I've had people call from Morocco. I've had people call from you. I've had people that I've had to sort of guide, because the impact is not in one society, it's everywhere. It's affecting supply chain, it's affecting the boardroom. People have to move away from the fact that AI is some kind of whatever and really face reality. But like I said, it will require you to have a complete, utter change of who you are as a person, how you think, and how you work.
We live in a time where history is happening faster than we can understand. A time where artificial intelligence has taken all over and is reshaping our thinking, how we learn, how we earn, and everything. And the simple truth is that AI is not going to replace human beings, but rather those who have mastered in AI are going to replace those who haven't. Our guest today has all the answers and everything. He breaks down how you can utilize AI properly, the automations, AI agents, and all. This is a point where human beings have come in contact with technology. And whether we like it or not, AI has come to stay. And are you ready to embrace yourself for this journey? Our guest, Anthony Berfi, is a seasoned person in this area. And today, he's offered himself to help us break down everything about artificial intelligence. Welcome to the King Obed podcast, Anthony.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great honor and a pleasure to be back once again. Always wonderful to be in your midst and to be with your audience. AI is not just a buzzword, it's a reality, like you said. It's here to stay. And so having the opportunity to help our audience, especially our people, to really see not just the potential, because I think we've gone beyond that conversation, more precisely how to maximize and how to get AI to work for you, whether in your personal life, in your career, in your business, in your church, in your ministry, whatever. Knowing and understanding how to make it work is actually a fundamental skill. And I think that's the core or the basis for this conversation. So hopefully we can share some good information for the audience and then get everybody excited to do great things with AI. Thank you for having me once again.
Nice. Now, from the time we met last year up to this point, in between, what has changed in the world of AI?
A lot. Right. So when we met, we were talking about the potential of artificial intelligence. It was really more around the large language models conversation, how to provide some prompts, some inputs and get some outputs, generate text ideas, summarize books, and create some textual concept. We've moved past that to multimodal outputs. Right now we are in the world of automation, agents, and really seen that these large language models are becoming very powerful and very, very astute at the generative or the predictive exercise that they do on a day-to-day basis. So we've really gone past, and you can see them hundreds of billions, and we have companies today that are being valued at trillions, 5 and 6 and 4 trillion US dollars. Why? Because we're talking about a tool that has the capacity to completely change and revolutionize sort of the society that we live in, right? So a lot has changed, a lot. But behind the hype, behind all the sort of amazing possibilities of AI, lies one fundamental truth, which is that AI is a language. And the more you understand how to speak the AI language, the machine learning language, the better you are at maximizing the usage and the practicality of artificial intelligence in your life, and therefore the results that you ultimately get. So I think whilst there's a lot of hype going on, we really want to focus on how you and I can make AI work for us on a day-to-day basis.
Wow. So AI is a language, but we need to understand actually what is happening for us to get the language. Then we can operate with the language. But still, people have not been able to accustom themselves to that aspect of, AI taking the trend of what is moving the world now. What is happening to those people? Why are people still not accustomed to that?
I think, and I did a training not long ago to a group of people, and I said that the technology is not the issue. The technology is experiencing unprecedented and exponential growth in terms of modulation and in terms of refinement and incremental changes and growth. From a technological perspective, there's a lot of investment and time and energy that's being put into it. What AI requires of you and I is a complete and utter change of our perspective, of how we look at things, of how we behave as a society, as individuals. It will require you to grow and change. And I think, change is something that people don't necessarily embrace immediately. right?
Yeah.
So there is a bit of fight against it and this and that, but the reality is around us. You can see it very clearly that it's either you embrace the demand to change and to grow and to embrace artificial intelligence, the most obvious natural thing that will happen to you is that you'll be relegated to the back of society. And I've spoken to, when I did the training, I was talking to them and I said, look, I've had people call from India explaining to me the challenges they're experiencing because of, the prevalence of artificial intelligence in whatever capacity. I've had people call from Morocco. I've had people call from UK. I've had people that I've had to sort of guide, because the impact is not in one society. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's affecting supply chain. It's affecting the boardroom. It's affecting everywhere. So I think people have to move away from the fact that AI is some kind of whatever and really face reality. But like I said, it will require you to have a complete, utter change of who you are as a person, how you think, and how you work. 100%.
So is it not a case that it's here to compete with humans, or it's here to upgrade or give us a competitive advantage? What is the case? Is it here to compete with us, replace us, or give us a competitive advantage over things?
Okay. I think there are fundamental differences that AI has compared to the previous technological developments that we have to understand. First and foremost, there are actual jobs that AI will take, no matter how we look at it, right? Some automated work
jobs AI will take.
Absolutely. Let me probably quote it properly. There are actual tasks that AI will do better than humans.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so we have to accept that it is much more sensible for us to delegate that responsibility to the tools, the AI agents, the automation tools, the robotics, et cetera, to do those tasks. Right. It just makes a lot more sense. And then if you look at the sort of the restraints and the limitations that humans have, as it were, it just makes more sense to give it to a computer, because it can do this 24/7 without any reason to be tired or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So there are tasks that AI can do better than humans. However, this tool called artificial intelligence, at the core of it, is a tool, right? There are limitations to what AI can do in terms of its capacity to behave as a human. Yes, the advancement that we're seeing in these new large language models, et cetera, we're talking about getting to a place where we have, it behave exactly as human intelligence. We are miles apart. We're miles apart in terms of like getting to those places. So whilst on one end, it can take over certain jobs, on another end, really, it has come to make you and I much better in doing our work. It has come to make us more effective in doing our work. It has come to make us more efficient. And if you live in a capitalistic society where people want things to be faster, better, easier, cheaper, simpler, it will just be a natural predisposition of any employment or any sort of business person or any organization to expect the people to be faster, better, easier, cheaper. Do you understand? So if there's a tool out there that ultimately provides you with more insights, that ultimately helps you to make decisions quicker, that ultimately helps you to do things quicker, then organizations are naturally going to expect that of the individual. That will also put some kind of pressure on you and I to also embrace artificial intelligence, because the customers expect things to be faster, better. The organizations therefore have to do it. We also have to therefore behave in a certain way that provides those solutions to the customers. I'm saying there are two main things. Number one is there are roles that AI will take over. But on the other end is AI has come to make you and I very efficient and effective at what we do.
Wow. So whatever it is, there are certain tasks that AI will take over.
Yes.
And then again, it is also going to give us an advantage, make us so efficient to the extent that the things maybe probably we couldn't do so well. Now AI will facilitate it for us to be able to get the results we want.
Absolutely.
But on the back of that, people fear AI, right? And I've heard a lot of arguments. People, saying that yes, it has come to replace human skills and all. And people also think that it is going to replace their jobs. It is going to make their skills irrelevant and all. Now, let's take for instance, if I am a banker, if I am a nurse, if I'm a teacher, if, for instance, yes, an entrepreneur, how can I use AI daily to be able to save time and increase productivity in all of this?
Fantastic. That's a very good question. And it contains so many different things, right?
Yeah.
I really want to touch on the fear part. I think people have to realize that artificial intelligence has come to stay. It's either you embrace it yourself and accept the responsibility of change that it promises and growth and potential of it, or it'll be forced on you at some point, right? You can't compete in this world if you are not using it, because it is what it is, right? But when you have that mindset of, if I use this tool and I become very good at speaking the AI language, right? Like I said, the benefit of it can only be attained by actually understanding that it's a language.
The language.
We call it large language models for a reason, right? Because there is, when I say language, I need to qualify what I mean. There's a way AI behaves. There's a way it thinks. There's a way it generates and predicts and auto-completes the text. There's how it's behaving in that black box that you and I don't see. Because all we see is we pass some instructions, prompts, and then we get some outputs. What's happening behind the box, right? If you don't understand that, you wouldn't know how to get the best results out of the tool. And so there's a syntax, there's a like, just like if you want to be able to go to China and learn how to work with the Chinese people and get the best out of them, you need to learn Chinese. But to learn Chinese, it's a whole body of stuff that you need to learn. You can't just learn the verb, or you can't just learn the nouns. You can't just learn the grammar. You have to learn quite a number of things. So first and foremost, people have to understand the AI or machine learning language. What do I mean? Well, for example, when you pass a text into this particular LLM, what's happening behind the box? What's happening is it takes your text and it breaks it into what we call tokens, which is parts of words, or it's like one word or parts of a word. These words are translated into a list of numbers, right? Those numbers, because machines actually speak what we call binary, but machines are binary in nature, zeros and ones. They speak maths. Maybe that's the easiest way to put it. So everything you say, whilst you are speaking, can you do this? It has to translate it into its language, and then it has to go into its world and be able to understand how to now generate the right text for you. So these tokens, as it were, they live on the basis of what is close to each other. So if I say, what's today's date? You would say 29th of November, 2025, right? You know 2025 because you've learned 2025. You've learned about how dates work, etc. You could never say 29th November, 2026. So for the AI to be able to generate or predict the next word, 29th of November, 2025, that's 2025, it has to look at the most probable and proximate word that is in alignment with whatever it is that you send to it, and then it will give you the outputs that is much more closer. Why did I say all of these things? So if you understand how it is functioning and working in the back end, you will ultimately know that you have to be very contextual. You have to be very specific as to what you ask the AI to do. Because if you are generic, it will just provide you with whatever. Right? So understanding the language of AI is key. Understanding how it works, what's working in the background is fundamental. Secondly, you have to learn to have an AI first strategy. I say it all the time. If you're going to use your computer, the first thing you need to do is to use an AI to do it. At this point, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I could be doing whatever. The first thing I'm going to do is to go to AI, because the only way you will learn and get the feel of that language of AI is by practice, repetition, and constant, being doing work with it. And then, of course, you need to learn how to get the best results out of it. You have to use frameworks. People have created all kinds of frameworks, but you've got to use a framework called the CLAIRE framework. Context, right? Provide enough context. You have to tell it the length that you want. You have to give it specific examples. You have to be able to tell it the role that it has to follow. So as a project delivery professional with 27 years of experience in XYZ, who understands this and this, I want you to do this, and this, and I want you to follow this path and give me for this particular length, right? So you have to be very clear at what you're looking for. And then you have to use it in your daily lives. It doesn't matter. Start with how to go to what to buy in the shop. Just start repeating and practicing and practicing and practicing. With time, you can move away from just generative and summarizing of text to now moving to the automation part and the agentic part. But the key thing here is practice the language of using artificial intelligence.
Wow. So it comes with practice, repetition, and all, giving it the task and then continuously following it up. So even to be able to efficiently utilize AI, you must be smart enough to be able to give it a prompt for it to follow.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. It's understanding the language of AI. because it's knowing how to finesse your way out of it. It's knowing how to get it to do what you want. But you can't get it to do what you want if you don't know what's under the bonnet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes
You
sense.
you
It
need
makes
to
sense.
know how it's thinking. When you ask it to do something, how is it thinking? Why is it that me and you can use AI? I will get specific results, but someone else will get another kinds of results that actually doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
we know we have different kinds of understanding of the tool. And of course, you have to be very knowledgeable and creative and whatever to be able to use it for different kind of, case studies, etc. But you really need to speak the language. That's what I'm referring to when I say the language of AI. It's knowing how it thinks and how you should get the best out of it and how you should ask it the right things so that you can relate with it in a much more meaningful way.
Okay. So, for instance, if people are watching us or those who will be watching us, maybe they want to try AI, but they don't know where to start. And like you are talking about, learning the language models and practicing it to be accustomed to it, to be able to know how to give it a command to say, okay, do this, blah, 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 the exact command for it to give you the exact result that you want. Now,
Yes.
give us what will be some of the everyday business or personal tasks that people can automate immediately and without let's say without having any technical skills or specialized skills.
Fantastic. Well, I think the first thing is if you're a beginner, you have no business exploring too many things. Right? Okay. Start with your normal chat GPTs. Because it's a lot more advanced. I mean, Gemini now is probably in terms of like performance in all the different metrics. Gemini.
So all of us, all of those, or all of us who are using ChatGPT, we are beginners, or we are totally in the game.
No, I don't mean it like that.
Yeah.
No, right? I think the power of artificial intelligence is actually it being useful in your context. It has to be very contextual. So in your context, maybe ChatGPT could be the most important tool because all you need to do is to generate specific text, and that text generation is the key thing to transforming your life, right? So contextual basis is very key. Of course, as you advance in certain things, if you're thinking about organizations and groups and teams and whatever, you think about other tools that ultimately provide like a collaboration of tools, et cetera, et cetera. We talk about agents and automation, which we'll get to. But here's the point. For somebody that wants to like use it in your everyday life, the first thing is to think of starting small. Start with one tool. One of these large language models is enough to start. And then, like I said, have an AI first strategy. Anything you need to do in your life. For example, for me, even in today, I searched how to ensure that nobody calls me during this particular conversation. Right. And it's funny, but and I it said, okay, go to your settings button and then click on, what's it called? What is it called? No disturb, right?
Yeah, do not disturb.
And I went there and I did it. Exactly. Right. So it's really, it's funny, but that's the point. Like you have to have an AI first strategy. Anything you need to do, start with AI. Anything you need to do. How to, if you think about your business, for example, you can think about, okay, providing all the information about your business to the AI and say, hey, what can I do? What areas in my business can I improve?
Yeah.
Right? What areas of these are the kind of queries and the complaints I'm getting. What should I focus on? Right? In your personal life, what are the key priorities that you have? What are the things you need to do? I don't spend time to write, like even my WhatsApp messages, I don't even spend time to write it anymore. WhatsApp has an AI feature that allows you to respond, right? So it's really moving away. That's why I said at the beginning, this AI requires you to change the way you think about work, the way you think about things, the way you think about life. And people are saying, oh, it will make you dumber. No, you have to explore more to be able to use the tool well. So you're going to learn more by virtue of even exploring and doing all those things. So what are the things that you can do? Start with just basic things of your life and start from there. Because the more you get used to using one tool and getting the feel of it and understanding how it works and getting the wrong text and getting this and doing that and getting feedback, and the more you're going to get a flair of this language that we're talking about, of how it works and what prompts and what kind of conversations you can have and how you can continue that dialogue and get the best out of it. So it depends on your context. Context is key in your ability to use AI. Start small, but be sort of systematic in that approach.
I was about coming to people making the argument that it's going to make you more lazy, and especially those in the academic world, they think that, it doesn't make you reason. But I have an opinion that once you to get the best out of AI, you need to reason, like you are just saying. You need to reason beyond the box. You need to give you the exact prompt for it to give you what you want. Other than that, anything you put in, it will give you anything. But what exactly do you want from AI, right?
Yes.
And so, for
exactly.
instance, people make those arguments that stop relying on those things. It's going to make you more lazy. It's going to make.
I'll give you an example. So I moved into finance not long ago. Actually, I need to be careful because if they listen to this video,
It's going to be a problem.
okay. So once upon a time, I had a manager,
Yeah.
and I was using artificial intelligence, and I remember they were like, "Oh, don't use AI. Go. I want you to do the hard grafting work of reading through this and that." And I would hear him, and I would come back to myself, and I would say, "Anthony, have an AI first strategy." So I would say, "Okay, what is the problem with using AI?" You say, "Okay, you need to make sure that you reference this link, and then you need to make sure that you review the work that you do so that it's fact checked and all that stuff."
Yeah.
And I said, that's good feedback, but doesn't mean that you stop using artificial intelligence. So one day he came into a meeting. We called this very urgent meeting, and we went into the meeting, and he asked me, "How did you do this?" Because he asked me to do something, right? And I did it, and he probably asked other people to do it. And mine came out really good, like the best of all.
Yeah.
And he was like, "How did you do this?" But it wasn't like, "How did you do it?" Like, why I've been advising you to do not use AI. It's like, how did you do it? What exactly did you ask them? What prompts did you make to actually get this? And he was so shocked that eventually, do you know what he did? He himself was going to get himself signed up on ChatGPT for within the company ChatGPT. And it's funny, not long ago, he calls me. He's like, "Do you know what? You can use ChatGPT for this. You can use," and I'm thinking, "Oh,
Interested.
I'm like, okay, really? We can use ChatGPT for that. Okay, no wahala." So people will get used to it. Initially, people are going to be apprehensive about it, etc., etc. But when they start seeing how your work is faster, better, easier, you're basically providing quality work, because the more you get used to this AI stuff, the better you're able to get the best results out of it. They themselves will realize that is either they are changing and embracing artificial intelligence, or they will be left behind. So that's the reality that people face.
Great. But for you, at what point did you realize that if I don't learn or study AI, I'll be left out?
I think it started, maybe I'll probably say a good 2 years ago, when that I'm always that guy that, and we can talk about this a little bit. I've always been the person that I'm always looking into the future and asking myself, what is the possibility that XYZ would happen? And if it does happen, how will it affect my life? And so when I started hearing the buzz around AI, I asked myself a fundamental question: how do I remain relevant? And I did a lot of videos about it. How do I remain relevant in an era of AI, especially when I understand the potential of this stuff? So I started digging into it, and I made it a very personal commitment that I was going to use artificial intelligence. And then the more I talked about it, the more I researched about it, the more people threw questions at me, the more I went to research, the more I used it, the more I expanded my tentacles in terms of how many large language models, the more I got into things like automation, agents, etc. The more I began to sort of really get used to that world. Today, I can't work without AI. It's just like we've come to that era where people cannot live their lives without phones. I'm here now. There's nothing you will ask me to do that I will go and start thinking about doing it without, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the only thing I need to do is to creatively come up with, what are the things that I need to do? What are the questions I need to ask this AI? How am I going to pose it myself and the things? How am I going to sort of engage the interaction so that I continue to get the best out of it? What are the critiques? How do I check it? I'll be doing all those work in my mind, and then I'll get one result and leave it there. Then tomorrow morning, I'll come back and look at it, and I'll pass it again into, that's what we call meta prompting. I'll pass it the same feedback that I've got in the outputs into the AI, and it will generate something better. So if you give me a task by Friday, I'll start Monday just getting AI to give me different things, get the same thing, put it back, get the same thing, put it back. By Friday, I'll have the final version ready, and then I'll give it to you. Yeah.
So it comes back to the point that now you need a certain kind of mindset to be able to even adapt to this orientation, to this kind of change that has evolved with time, and it has come to stay, and it keeps improving day in, day out. Now, If I ask you that, what is the biggest mindset shift people need to make about AI? What are you going to say?
I think there are multiple mindset shifts, but the first one is I have to become a completely different person in terms of how I think about work, how I think about my life, how I think about everything in order for AI to be useful to me. Like you can't have AI, people use AI to generate it's a far-fetched thing. They just use it once a while in
Yeah,
their life.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
AI has to consume any and every area of your life for you to. It's a language. You only get better with English because you speak English every day.
Every day.
Right? So your ability to use it well, it really stems from AI consuming every aspect. It doesn't matter what you did. I use it for my medical reports. I went to my GP. My GP was talking. I collected all the information, came, and I basically self-diagnosed myself throughout the entire process and got myself to be healed from whatever the sickness was. I got gastrointestinal, whatever. I literally followed the principles, and I would double check. So it's my GP. It's also my lawyer. I went to the court not long ago. I had a drive offense, whatever, because I was told that I was banned from driving, and then eventually had to go to court and all that stuff. I went my entire case, my lawyer's case, that I basically went to stand in front of court to present to them. I basically got everything from ChatGPT. It's my entire life. It doesn't matter what it is. If I need to go to the shop, like I said to you, every work that I do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do in my life right now. AI is the go-to. That's why I said have an AI first strategy in every area of your life.
AI
Yes,
first
it
strategy.
doesn't matter. Yes, absolutely.
So at every phase of life, every point of your life that you want something to happen, your first strategy should be AI, because every solution, everything is in there.
Yes. Now, let's be honest. I also understand the limitations of artificial intelligence.
Sure.
I know that it hallucinates, it can generate nonsense and still act like it's very confident. And so one of my key responsibility is to verify and fact check whatever it's given to me so that I know that what I'm following is not just because remember, generative AI is just generating information up top of their head. They're just generating what they think is the most probable next word or token, as it were, and they're giving it to you. So it can come up with nonsense. I also know that when it comes to the training of the models, these models are set in time. So new information can come today, but that model that was used to train the algorithm or this large language model ultimately was maybe 2024 or 2025 January. And so with that kind of understanding of the limitations of AI, I do my due diligence to make sure that I'm not just following blindly. But these things come with practice. These understandings come with practice, where you send one report in and somebody say, this is not true. Then you go back and check. And then from that time onwards, you start checking the results of AI and be very careful with what it is that is provided, because you know that it's a tool and it can make mistakes. Once you master that, then integrate it in every aspect of your life. It doesn't matter what it is. Every single aspect of your life. Just make sure you are using AI 24/7.
It has even got you to a point that even if you sit down and you think and you write, for instance, an essay, a report, whatever it is, and then you give it out even to ChatGPT or whatever it is, it can even say that it's just this is just ChatGPT generated. Rather, you have sat down to think. And write the thing. So now it's just like you knowing what you want and you just giving the prompt to do it for you, because whatever it is that you say you are going to write it, which is authentic or genuine, if you write it and you input it into AI or ChatGPT to tell you that this is something that has been generated or was generated by ChatGPT.
Absolutely. And I think this is where creatives ultimately have an edge over quote unquote engineers, because creative people always come up with strategic ideas and they need somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And so your ability to create and pass it and have that companion called AI agents, AI automation, large language models makes you a superhuman. People that are creators, like writers, authors, creative people, they're always seeing AI as an incredible tool because it makes their life better. Because the alternative is that they create and they have to now find somebody to bring it to life. But I have a tool that can bring it to life.
Yeah. But people also say that now it has taken the authenticity aspect of things, because For instance, if I am saying something, I'm reading something, now people think, okay, you've gone to pick that thing from AI or ChatGPT, so it's no more of a you thing again. It's something that was generic, that was generated by AI. So we can't take you serious. We can attach seriousness or importance to what you are saying.
Well,
I know you've heard some of these comments before.
I've heard that. There are two things I always say. The scripture says there's nothing new under the sun, number one.
Under the sun, yeah.
Number two is that man is a product of influence. There's nothing you're doing today that you did not copy from somewhere else.
Definitely.
Right? So this idea that we are all coming up with,
something out of this world
is he wants to believe that we are special. There's nothing we are coming up with that is new.
Yeah.
Right?
So even the last time I was arguing with somebody, or I think we were having a conversation and we were saying that, so you think that if something is new, everything, whatever it's new, let's take for instance people who do researches and stuff. Now, what the research you are doing, they say it's a new area of research. But yes, they want you to reference somebody.
You understand?
They want you to reference somebody and then still call it your own authentic work. Meanwhile, you are referencing somebody. Yeah. But when you get some of this information from these sources, they say, why the thing is not your work? Why have you gone to ask ChatGPT to generate this for you? And so now it's become a whole lot of, the authenticity aspect that people are not pulling enough, are not doing enough, because now we are so reliant on a technology, and so we are not even using our brains anymore.
And this is where I've said, and this is an argument I hear all the time.
Yeah.
And again, it's going back to the idea that number one, there's nothing new. Number two, man is a product of influence. But even more fundamentally is this: AI is like money. It takes on the character of the user, right?
Yeah.
The more knowledgeable you are, the more information you have, the more use cases you will have for artificial intelligence. The more you'll be better prompt AI. Like if you are a learner, that's why people that are constantly learning, they have no problem with using artificial intelligence, because they have to first and foremost learn new information and new ways of thinking and new things to be able to go and, because if you have never heard that you can, right now, if we all find out that we can use AI to generate money and we know how it is done, right? And it is a practical thing. Yeah, everybody will use AI to go and print money, but we've never heard it and seen that it is working.
Yeah,
so it's the lack of information that we don't have in that area that is prohibiting us from using AI for certain things. So the argument that you will not use your mind, people that use their mind are the ones that get the best out of AI. That's really the thing. And then man is a product of influence. Charlie, there's nothing we are doing that is so special. We all just want to feel like we're doing.
Definitely. I think I learned this thing from Dr. Mars Morone, and then he said that there is nothing new under the sun. Anything you are doing, somebody has done it before. You just have to tap from people and then have kind of add a bit of genuineness to or uniqueness to what you are doing, and then make it your own. Yeah.
That's it. The things I'm sharing with you, you think it came from me? No, I heard from somebody else. I heard from somebody else. We are all packaging and reselling it. The most important thing is that right now, it's very present in my life. I've used it. I have experience of it. And more importantly, I'm very convinced of it because of usage. So I can have a very honest conversation with people. But I'm not sharing new ideas that I'm not the one who created AI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
We all came to meet it. We are all learning every day.
Yeah. So it's now going to shape the future of work now. But we hear of AI agents, and then we keep hearing them, AI agents. But it gets to a point where people are asking, what are these AI agents? What are they? If we say AI agents, what are they?
Okay, I think it's important to understand why agents and why all the other things are coming into the picture, right?
Yeah.
If you think about the human being, once upon a time we have a child, and then the child becomes an adolescent or a teenager, and then eventually becomes an adult. And at those different stages, they behave differently, right? So you take a child, and ultimately what you do for a child is you give the child food, whatever it eats, it passes out something, right? So think of your large language models as like the beginning of AI. You give it an input, the large language models processes, and then it generates the most probable token, as it were, and then it gives you an output. It can be words, it can be pictures, it can be anything. So that's like the beginning stages. When you become a teenager, you start now hearing people tell you, do this, do that, do this, do this. You're giving specific instructions, and you're giving a specific path to follow to achieve specific results. right? So if you're in school, you have a time that you need to study, you have a time that you need to do your homework, you have specific path that you need to follow. Why? Because in doing that, you can achieve specific activities, you can achieve certain deliverables or outputs, as it were. That's your automation. That's level 2. Level 3 is an adult. When we went to university, your lecturer does not care whether you are studying or you are studying. As long as you pay your $20,000 or pounds, it's not concerned you, right? Because at that level, what we do is we tell you that this is the goal, and then you reason to figure out the best way, the tools that you need, and then more importantly, you execute upon those things and ask yourself whether you need to iterate, get feedback, etc., before you bring out the outputs. So it's a development cycle of the AI and generative world, where we have it from just normal inputs, to now following a predetermined path, to now allowing you, just furnishing you with a brain, a memory, tools, and certain instructions, and leaving you to determine what you want to do. At the end of the day, the goal of all of it is to just arrive at that place again, to make things faster, better, easier, cheaper, simpler. In order to do that, we need tools that we can give it the autonomy to go out there and determine the best course of action. We also need to create tools that we can just set out the predetermined paths and allow it to access certain tools to be able to do certain things. That's the automation part. And then, of course, the large language models that are very necessary for generating new ideas and for summarizing things are still very core in what we do. So the agent world, or agents, are simply applications that have a mind, the large language models, have a memory, right? Have access to tools, which is your different, maybe the web, Google, whatever it is, different kinds of other tools, have access to external information and have access to some kind of instruction. And it will on its own determine, reason, and determine the right course of action on what it needs to do to be able to execute and achieve that goal. And then it will access those tools, those whatever tools that you've given it to it, and it will go out there and do those things and then ask itself, is this right? If it's not right, let me make changes before it comes back to you. That's the adult. That's why I said there's a child, an adolescent, and an adult. We are building an adult that we can leave to just go ahead and do certain things for us. That's the agent, and that's where we are going as a collective, as far as the AI world is concerned. So we're in powerful times, we're in powerful seasons.
Yeah. And it's evolving each and every time. So the earlier the better that you get on board.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And getting so practical, too practical about this one. For instance, you've spoken about these AI agents. Now, what is that one real example of let's say an AI agent performing a full task end to end with minimal human involvement or intervention?
I think this is something that a lot of individuals can relate to, right? You would see that most of these large language models are creating tools that ultimately they seek to do that, but they haven't managed to execute upon it. For example, one of the things that I want to do, for example, say I'm on my computer and I say, I want to go somewhere, and I don't know where I want to go, and I give instructions to my AI agent, and it will go into the world of holidays, etc., and then it will determine how it's going to come up with stuff. The most important thing that I've given it a brain, I've given it a memory, I've given it specific instructions, and I've also given it specific tools. It will determine everything that it needs to do and go out there, figure out the right part of course of action, and come back with the best results, with the best prices, the path, everything. I don't have to do that legwork of thinking. It's just done it for me, right? Because I've left it. I could have said, go to Ryanair, go to British Airways and go and check this. But I didn't do that. I just left it on its own to figure out a way and to come back with the right results. That's something like my holiday. But now think about it in terms of your business, and you want to start a new business. You want to research new ideas. You want to do whatever. Just think about the potential of digital businesses that you can build just because you have AI agents that are built specifically to helping you to determine the right businesses for your right context, for your right amount of, do you understand? There's so much potential that it can do, right? We're moving away from generating and summarizing text to actually taking actions and doing work, because we want things to be faster, better, simpler, cheaper. And this is where that's why I said people have to accept that we are in the area, we're not getting there, where AI can do some works better than humans. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to also accept the responsibility of really knowing how you don't stay behind, because there's so much that is happening. I was checking today. I'm actually on the platform agents.ai. It's the largest AI network. I think it was created by the co-founder of HubSpot, with so many different kinds of agents, right? People have created these agents for the organizations and they've made some of them public. You can use it consistently. You can create your own agents. It doesn't matter what it is. The most important thing is that you're creating an adult that has a brain, and you just give it a specific task and you say, hey, figure out the best course of action, and it comes back with the results for you. And you can use it in different use cases. So
Wow.
we are, for example, your podcast right now. If you have an agent and you say, okay, look, I want to be number one as far as podcast on XYZ is concerned. This is my audience. And you give it a specific, clear, whatever. And you say to him, you are very intelligent. You figure out what it is that I need to do to get there. And it will do everything.
Everything.
Right? So it's like you have this wise, all-knowing, all-doing, all-performing person next to you. Use it. Let him go to work, or let her go to work, or let it go to work. Don't use it. We will use it for you.
Somebody wrote a book and he says how to build a second brain. See,
there you go.
I tell people that ChatGPT is a second brain, because now it's more of a partner where you can have a conversation with him or her, and you ask him or her a question, and then it gives you a feedback, and you say, okay, can you answer this question? Can you twist it this way? Can you change it this way? And then so it's like having a conversation, like in actual sense, with a rare human being, and the person giving you answers, and also probably asking for clarification or additional information to give you the exact the exact result you want.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to realize that this tool has been trained with information that your brain has never been exposed to, right? So you're talking about a tool next to you that has PhD beyond level of information that you and I, we don't even have the time to even continuously learn to that level. That's why these tools are getting better and better and better, because not only are they getting used to the patterns of humans, they are also getting used to being fed with so much information at different levels of human interaction, and the connections that they can make and the predictions that they can make. And the more is being fine-tuned and getting better, the capacities of these tools become incredibly beyond human comprehension. So, I marvel at people still questioning whether or not it is necessary. I think if you're scared of it taking your job, you might as well just get involved, so that you can be those that are controlling it and not really worry about whether or not it's going to take your job. I know for a fact. I mean, when somebody is complaining about it, I tell people, number one, don't be ashamed of using AI. If I use AI to do something, I'm not going to tell you I use my brain. No, I use AI.
They make us feel like we are not thinking.
Something is wrong with you.
It's interesting. They make us feel like we are not using our brains. That's why sometimes people will not want to reveal the full aspect of where they got their stuff from. Stuff, because people think, why would
you I use AI?
Why would you consult AI? Why you have the brain to be able to, do things and bring out information and all? Yeah. Wow. AI doing all the magic and stuff. And, we've worked from its inception, the gap, and then people accepting or learning the language actually, what the language actually are. Now you keep mentioning of tools. Now people or listeners or viewers maybe will want to automate their work, their workflow. But sometimes they feel overwhelmed. And as a beginner, for instance, if I'm a beginner in this area, what are some of the tools that you recommend as somebody who is well versed in this area for a beginner?
Okay. I think for a beginner, you're looking at the two things. Number one is, how should you go about automating your tasks? Like, what should be the thinking behind it? And number two is the tools, right? So how do you automate? Well, first and foremost, ask yourself, what are the things that you can automate and release yourself off? And it really, the machine can do better, right? Maybe you write blog posts. I don't see why you should still be writing blog posts when you can easily get an automation exercise in, and it will basically create blog posts that are phenomenal. And then it will just be publishing it for yourself, right? That freezes you up time. So ask yourself, what are the things that I can do that can ultimately free me of specific time frames, and I can focus on more important things? And then from there, it's like a list of things. Then you can try and test what AI can do. Some of them AI can do well, some of them AI cannot do well. And fundamentally, you just keep testing until you find the right fine tuning for yourself. That's the first point. The second part is what tools. Look, we talk about these large language models, but they can help you to automate a lot of stuff, right? You can create your own ChatGPT agent. You can create that where, for example, I know people who've created ChatGPT agents that are very specific to the companies that they work in, and they provide specific information, and then it will just create the pro forma invoice for them, and they will basically send it to their customer, right? So they would go there to do their scanning, their research, whatever it is, and it's an agent. You just come, hey, I went this morning, I went there, I surveyed this, I did that. Based on all the previous information that I provided you, the cost analysis, everything that I provided you, can you create this and this? And it gives it to you. Instead of you sitting down and now doing 20, 50, it gives you something great, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the use cases are many, right? So large language models, first and foremost, are places you can create automation. Then if you go into specific tools where now you want to like add multiple other tools to the large language models, then you have other platforms like your make.com. I think it's N8N is another one. You have Zapier is another one. But I wouldn't really want to try and focus on all the other things. I just want to start with one. I'm very conversant with make.com. And in fact, to be perfectly honest with you, I've moved away from even doing it myself to having a team of people that just create these automations. So my job is to think about what else I can delegate to some kind of automation and have those that sit on these things and pushing the buttons to create it, maintain it, and then that's it. Right. So make.com and they will just be helping you to do certain things. It doesn't cost that much to have somebody to even create your first automation tool for you. On the same platform, make.com, you can create agents. Similar to automation, you can create agents and stuff. And the platforms are getting many. What I would advise you is that you've got to realize that if you're creating, for example, an automation, whatever, you would need to be involved with, you need to have so many other tools. Maybe you would connect your Google Sheets and connect your large language model and connect this. If you start stretching yourself too thin, you might have to be very expensive because it involves paying £20 here, £10 here, £30 here, maybe add your Canva here. Do you understand? Focus on what is key areas, and then work on look at the most important things and just get it automated so that your life can be much easier. If it's, for example, in the podcast, if it is generating ideas, if it is publishing the ideas, if it is creating the designs, if it is the social media aspect, what's the most critical things that you can automate that will save you a lot of time? That's where you look at. And then agents, again, thinking about what else you can do. The most important thing is that the more you practice using these tools, the easier it becomes, the more sense it makes, and then the more use cases and scenarios that you can have.
So the application is vast. Now it's diverse as well. It spans across every aspect of your life that you want to apply this one. It can work for you. Now, but it all depends on the prompts and then understanding the language models and all, and how you be able to fine tune it to give you what you want as a user. Yes, as a user. Now, let's talk about money. For instance, I've heard people say, "Oh, you can let AI help you to be able to scale your business or start a business, give you business ideas with even if you have limited time and limited capital and all." How will AI do all of this for us?
Okay. I think, look, there are many things, and I was thinking about this question quite a lot. Like, what can people do? First and foremost, understand what AI does best, right? AI knows how to generate new ideas, text, summarize information. So in the arena of words, changing words into pictures, anything digital, AI is incredibly good. But at the end of the day, you're still solving human problems. And so whilst you want to use the channel of digital, you still have to ensure that it's a viable business where there is a real problem, a real need, and human beings are asking for those kind of things.
Yeah.
And you can use artificial intelligence to help you. But I mean, at this point, I don't know how, the rate of opening digital stores for me is just like I just come up with one thing, do a little bit of research, and then tomorrow morning we've started another store or started another e-com platform or something. Because the time to build products has just been reduced into very simple things. Like it's just a matter of just creating 1, 2, 3 stuff, and then I have like, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking. Somebody has bought something on my store, right? Like it's happening because I understand what AI. That's why I said understand what AI is capable of. Understand. It's like AI is like a woman. If you understand how she behaves, you can get the best out of her, right? So it's knowing its power, its limitations, and what you can do with it. Then beyond the digital landscape, it's just now using it as a tool and being able to prompt engineer, context engineer it in such a way that you can have an understanding of potential opportunities. Sometimes I sit here and I say, what are the new businesses that, because of this new technology, are going to invoke, right? And because I can prompt engineer and I can give it enough context, I can be very concise, specific, I can give it a specific mission, I can tell it who it's supposed to be, and I can really feed it with enough research as an agent, even to do those kind of research. It's easy for me to generate new ideas and better things on how to do it. That's why I keep saying, your capacity to learn new things and to be exposed to bigger and better things and different things will ultimately help you define the use of this tool in your hands. It really is a question of how informed you are as a person.
Yeah.
Right? So I would say stay within the digital space, but also use artificial intelligence to explore what is possible because of the new developments. We're seeing agents come in. Where are we going? And what kinds of businesses are going to be the next thing? People just need to ask questions. And I'm all about asking yourself, what's the potential, what's the probability that XYZ will happen today, and beginning to make decisions there, right?
Yeah.
People that are creative, I've talked about it. People that are in the words division, in the pictures, in the imagery division. There's quite a number of things that AI is killing off, but there's a new avalanche of opportunities that are coming. So that's where you are. And then because we're talking about money, right? Fundamentally, right? The number one skill that anybody needs to learn to make a lot of money is selling. I think I've said this in one of the videos. Selling is the key thing to make money. Somebody called me, I think, several days ago, and they were talking about a new business. And I said, hey, do you have a customer? They said, no. I said, you don't have a business, right? Because you can spend a lot of time talking about your products and this and that and that. The only thing that makes it a business is the fact that you are selling to somebody and the person is giving you money. You can use AI to learn the things that you need to know in order to sell, the practicalities of selling, and more importantly, what you can sell tomorrow morning because of XYZ. There are businesses that are creating new agents and stuff, and they need somebody to sell, right? So the equation of money is not in developing products, it's in selling. Like that's where money is. Money is the exchange of value. That ability to stand in the middle and exchange those values is the key. The product is not the real skill. The skill is the one that knows how to get you and I to exchange our money for that particular product, right? So it's knowing that is the major fundamental thing. If you know that and you use artificial intelligence to know how to sell, what to sell, when to sell, who to sell to, then really you are in business. You're making money. You will make money if you sell. It's a fact, you know.
Wow.
And there's a lot. There's so much else. But yeah, I think these two help.
These are some of the ways that businesses can use to even sometimes even address some of the struggles, the challenges, sometimes the feedbacks from customers, the inquiries customers are making and all.
Yes, absolutely. Because you want to sell to them. So you ultimately want, like you just mentioned something very important. If your customer is coming in and complaining about certain things, you pay attention, you put it into your chat GPT, you get some feedback on things that you need to do. And those are things you can implement immediately, right? So there are different aspects of your business that you can use these tools to ultimately help you to make the right business. And if you want to start again, like I said, begin to use artificial intelligence as a basis for how and what you do. Really.
So business, you can apply it in business. Now let's go to the area of our careers or professions. You know, millions of young people are searching for jobs without real guidance and all. Sometimes they are even confused as to what is the standard probably, or sometimes they're even the standard CV to present, the standard portfolio to build and all to present to these employers and all. Now, how can job seekers use AI for CV writing? For instance, CV writing and also portfolio building and interview preparation.
Those are very key points that you've mentioned. The key thing here is that people have to realize that AI will make you have an edge if you know how to use it in your career. It's so important. And this is something that you can just be in maybe oil and gas today, and tomorrow morning you want to go into, I don't know, astronaut business or astronaut, maybe artificial intelligence, for example. You can spend time using AI to really understand what you need to do, how you do it, etc., and eventually be able to go into that space, right? How do you do it? For example, with your CV, one of the key things that you can use is understanding what the job description is asking and what kind of CV will the recruiter actually be able to will accept for that CV, for that job. So I pass it into AI and say, hey, this is the job description. I want to be the perfect candidate with all that you can research about this particular institution as a top recruiter with 25 years of experience. Help me create a CV that is fit for purpose. Now, it will generate something, and you probably pass it again in there and say, hey, I don't think this is perfect. Go back and check it again, etc., etc., etc. And then you sit down and now modify it to the best of your abilities. Why? Because everybody, I mean, I've been on panels where they're recruiting people, and now everybody knows that everybody's using AI to create their CVs. So you want to now come back and write it as though it was your own. But the initial ideas of what a perfect CV looks like, you collected that from the AI.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
That's number one. Then number two is interview. No, number two is job search. How do you search for work? I was saying it. People have AI solutions, agents, and automation tools that are actually sending their CVs quickly to people, right? They've automated that task. As the job is coming through, your CV is being sent. Your CV is being sent. See, you are waking up and going to your laptop and say, okay, let me go on Indeed.com. You're searching. You understand? People have created agents and solutions that ultimately are doing the automation exercise. You can use AI to determine. One of the things I did was basically use AI to determine the top performing companies that are recruiting. And it gave me a list of all the companies that are doing well. I went onto their career job pages. I clicked on there. I saw this is an interesting job. I can get it. This is an interesting job. I can do this. I can do that. So AI became my partner in searching for work, right? Interviews. I take the job description. I feed it back into the artificial intelligence and say, hey, give me 20 questions that they are likely to ask to verify that this person knows and understands and can do this job. And it gave it to me, gave me the answers, and I would say, give me the case studies that I need to use for my answers. Now, I also now got onto my phone, and then I began to have conversations with the AI in an interview. I have friends that have built interview solutions where the AI will just basically, if you tell it the job that you're looking for, the AI will now carry out interview scenarios with you so that you can prepare. So, sometimes when people don't realize, do you understand? Like at this point, it's like, what else do you need?
Yeah. Do
you understand?
Yeah.
And even when you get the job, on the day you start, they give you a job. I said, give me what it is that you are asking me. Let me go use this guy. I don't want to talk too much about this because when he started, he thought I'm using AI because I don't know what I'm doing. I said, boss, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm using AI because this AI will make my work better than yours. It will make my work better than everybody. So once he's complaining about AI, he just kept seeing my work. He kept seeing my work. And then eventually one day, he started blocking me from seeing what he's doing. So I'll go around him and then he will close his laptop. Then when he posts something, he will make sure he doesn't tag me in it anymore. So I started wondering what's going on. Something is fishy.
Wow, interesting. I think that yes, people, regardless of what position or whichever position that you have or you hold about this, it's in, and the earlier you start to wrap your head around it to be able to figure out how you can also operate effectively in it, it's the better, because whatever it is, people are maximizing it fully to their advantage, and then they are getting the results they want. They are getting the opportunities, getting the jobs, passing all that
Businesses.
yes, they need to do. So if you sit aloof and you think that, okay, these people, all those people, feeding on this kind
We
of
are watching it.
intelligence, it's not necessary and stuff. People will leave you behind, and then by the time you realize, we are far gone.
Yes, yes, yes. The one day I saw him write something, and it was very AI. You know the funny thing. He told me, "Don't use AI." I said, "Bros, don't worry, me and you, we will know who uses AI, who will not
Yeah,
use." So
yeah.
one day I saw him write a very long AI text, and I started laughing. I said, "So not long ago, he came to me and said, oh, ChatGPT can do this." And I said, "Oh, really? ChatGPT can do it? I didn't know. I didn't know." Meanwhile, this guy will sit me down and say, "Why are you not using your mind?
Your
You should
mind.
use your mind instead."
Yeah, yeah.
I say, "Okay, no wahala."
That is interesting. Interesting. Yeah, yeah. We've spoken at length. And are there any other things you want us to add, and or you want to bring on board? You want to talk about in terms of project management? Anything you think we've left out in this conversation that you think it's necessary for us to touch on?
I think the fundamental thing is we are in a season of change, and we're going to be in this season of change for some time now. It would be radical. The pace of change is going to increase even further. And so I really believe that whilst you need to master artificial intelligence, one of the other skills that you need to master is risk management.
Risk management.
And I define risk management in two ways. Number one is the disciplined curiosity about uncertainty. And it's discipline because you have to have a process and you have to do it repetitively. Curiosity is
The discipline, curiosity
uncertainty, about change.
uncertainty.
Yes. So you have to have a process of asking yourself, okay, I'm going to do this. What is the likelihood that this will happen? And if it happens, what can happen? What will affect me? So it has to be something that has a process and something that is disciplined. You do it consistently. And the curiosity part is the asking of the question. You have to be constantly investigating on the possibility. There is no way I will be caught by surprise of what is happening in the AI world. I'm heavily invested. I want to know what's the next change. I'm not arguing against this tool. I've accepted the reality of it to a point that I'm always asking myself, what is the next thing that can happen that can throw me off course and it will change my life in a very negative way? When I know that, I start putting in place specific control measures that, number one, will make me not shake if it does happen. Number two, I can reduce the probability that it happens, right? So there's that element of asking questions and being involved in asking the right questions. And then I said about uncertainty is accepting that there are probable events that will happen, that if it does happen, could ultimately affect your life, could affect your job, could affect your career, right? So there's a discipline, curiosity about uncertainty. And then the second part is the operational part, which is sitting down to ask yourself and to document what could go wrong. We have to move away from that. You go on TikTok and somebody say, I've been laid off. I've been laid off. There are always warning signs. There are always warning signs. Nothing just boom on you like that. Nothing, right? If you're somebody that you are understanding some of the things that we are discussing here, you will always be proactively investigating and be watching carefully around you. When you see changes in people's behavior, your manager is no longer talking to you anymore. They are busy doing meetings without you. You should know that something is not. So pay attention to those things so that you don't come on TikTok and tell us how you have been laid off or made redundant. That you knew it was coming a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right? So pay attention to the warning signs. And that's where the disciplineness comes in, where you're constantly observant, you're watching, and then more importantly, constantly becoming a better person, improving yourself, learning more, new skills, more skills. I tell people, learn more skills and then be very good at using AI. Let people complain, but you have seen the future and you are preparing for it. So that's what I would say to the audience. Be someone that is embracing the future, and more importantly, is actually proactively preparing and positioning yourself to be relevant in the future that is ahead. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful chat.
Yes. Solid conversation. And you've given us the foundational analysis to everything that we need to know about AI, how it has evolved with time, how it has come to stay, whatever it is that we can use, apply it to every aspect of our lives, and even have a day-to-day conversation, like make it part of our lives. We should speak the language, because once it understands the language, once you understand the language, you'll be able to operate fully in it. And people are maximizing it, using it in every aspect: business, career-wise, education, research, whatever it is, name it. It is applicable in every field. Like you said,
Yes.
you use it as your lawyer, as your doctor, as your consultant, in everything, day-to-day life, all the encounters. It says have an AI strategy. First strategy,
Yes.
consult it.
Yes.
So yes, as we have learned, I know anybody or anyone who gets hold of this video, audio, any short clip about this one will get to understand that yes, this is the new trend, a new technology that has come into existence, and the earlier we embrace it to learn, the better we will get used to some of these things. And then the fact that you use AI does not mean that you are down. Just keep it at the back of your mind. It means that you are able to instruct it to produce something. If you are not knowledgeable, you cannot instruct AI to give you the results you want. Yes, so thank you, Anthony Murphy, for all the extensive conversation, the extensive information you've shared on the King Obed podcast today. I know viewers, listeners will be happy to hear this conversation and to take enough clues from what you've shared on this platform today. Thank you so much. This is the King Obed podcast. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever you watch us, we are on, and continue for us to also grow to become the community of sharing information to enhance ourselves, to develop ourselves personally, and also to motivate and inspire ourselves as we take over the world in the next few years. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on board.